Okay, so like I promised, I wanted to show you how to make the cinnamon rolls that are always really popular at our house. I've already cut the bread dough in half. I've actually already made a loaf of bread that's over rising in the oven, but this is the other half of the dough. Now, I could roll it up and make another loaf of bread. Sorry, that's my bird. Or I can do something a little more fun with it. My husband loves when I make homemade cinnamon rolls. So basically it's the exact same dough. We just decided we were going to work it differently. So I'm going to throw a little bit of flour to keep it from sticking. And I'm actually gonna roll it out a little bit. Now, we're gonna take this dough and we're gonna roll it out nice and flat, and then we're going to put some really nice pecan and cinnamon and sugar kind of a topping on it. And then we're gonna make the dough, the rolls. So let's see here, I'm gonna roll this out. You don't want it too thin or else the toppings will break through the crust. But I don't know, it looks like maybe 1/4 of an inch. It's not an exact science for me, but I do like to make sure the dough is thick enough to hold all the yummy toppings that I plan to put in there. Now, I've of course washed my hands before I started. If I was making this for somebody besides my family, I would probably wear rubber gloves because of, you know, the pandemic and everything, but only my husband and I will be eating this, so we're safe. But what you would do next is take some butter. This is softened, at least it was last time I checked. And we're going to smear butter over the whole top part of the dough that you see here. So I'm gonna take that and go put it there and just literally use my fingers to smear the butter around. This helps the sugar and the pecans and everything to stick. Typically, I think we use between a 1/3 of a cup of butter, I mean a 1/4 of a cup to a 1/3 of a cup. It's really more of a visual thing. Once you see that you have butter pretty much covering all the way to the edges, then you're about done. So however much butter that takes, that's how much it takes. Okay, let me wash my hands. Okay, now, while the bread was rising, I made the filling. And I know it looks probably just like a light brown blob to you, but this is actually chopped pecans. It's about 3/4 of a cup of chopped pecans and about a 1/4 cup each of granulated sugar and powdered sugar. And then I threw in about a tablespoon of cinnamon. I might even sprinkle more cinnamon on top when I'm done because I really like cinnamon. But you add the amount of cinnamon that you think is good for your family. Some people really like a heavy cinnamon flavor, some not so much. So just do whatever amount of cinnamon kind of looks and tastes right for you. Okay, so I'm just gonna literally sprinkle my topping. I think I'm going to have some leftover topping, by the way. If I do, that's perfect because I'll put it in an airtight jar and I'll save it for the next time I make cinnamon rolls and I'll use it up then. Okay, so you want to have a generous portion of filling. There we go. And I still have some left, so I'm gonna save that for my next cinnamon roll adventure. In the meantime, I'm going to come over here and I'm gonna start at this end and I'm gonna start rolling it up, kind of like a jelly roll. Kind of like a jelly roll, there we go. And it rolls very nicely. I had the board floured before we started, and you know how I always tell you that the floured board keeps the dough from sticking, so that's a good thing. I'm gonna roll it up. And I think you can see here that we have a nice big jelly roll looking thing. Now, the one thing we want to know is, or to do, the ends are kind of doughy. There's a lot of dough and not much filling. So I typically cut the ends of the dough off with my little slicer tool. I'll do the same over here because even though they're still good, they're better when they have more filling in them. So then I just go through and I go about an inch. I can even kind of hash mark these with my marker here. You can make them as thick or as thin as you want. I think mine are about, let me look at my inches here. Not quite an inch, maybe 3/4 of an inch wide. And remember, they're going to get bigger when they rise. So I'm gonna whack through here now. Set it aside for a minute. Whack through. Trying to find one that shows a lot of the cinnamon. If you don't have, this one's starting to show some of the cinnamon in there. If you don't have the tool here, just a butcher knife, just something with a nice sharp edge is all you really need. There we go. Okay, I'm starting to get this. When I'm done slicing these, I am going to put them on a cookie sheet, and I've got two options. Once I get them on the cookie sheet, I can either let them rise for an hour and then pop them in the oven to bake, or, and this is what I almost always do, put them on a cookie sheet and I put them in the refrigerator covered overnight. The refrigerator is cold and it will halt the rising process. And then in the morning, that's when people want to eat their cinnamon rolls, in the morning I will pull these out about an hour and a half before I want to bake them, and I will let them rise in a slightly warmed oven. Sometimes I put the oven on for about 1 minute, and then I turn the oven off after 1 minute of preheat. That brings it up to, I don't know, maybe 100 degrees in there. And then I let the cinnamon rolls rise in there for about an hour, maybe a little longer, hour and 10 minutes. And then I take them out, preheat the oven to 350, and bake them. And they're fresh and hot and delicious first thing in the morning. So that's what everybody likes. So right now, I'm gonna finish this video up, but I'm going to take these, put them on a cookie sheet, and I'm gonna go put them in my refrigerator, and I'm gonna actually bake these in the morning. So, but when they are baked, I either use store-bought icing if I'm not in the mood to make icing, or you can Google a royal icing recipe, you know, how to make royal icing, that's what it's called. And there's a ton of recipes on YouTube about how to make royal icing, which is just a powdered sugar, some egg white, and I think just like a little bit of milk, and makes a really nice coating. You can flavor it with vanilla, you can flavor it with orange or lemon, kind of whatever you think would go along with your cinnamon rolls. Okay, so that's all there is to making the cinnamon rolls. I'm gonna go get ready to put these out in the fridge and bake them in the morning. And then I woke up at 6 o'clock this morning, came out quickly to the fridge and took it out of the refrigerator and put it on the oven, in the oven to rise for 2 hours while I went back to bed. So then I got up and they were all risen and they were beautiful, and now I am baking them for about 15 minutes. And I will take one more picture when they're done and they come out of the oven. And these are the cinnamon rolls as they are baking right now in the oven. They rose quite a bit. They were not nearly this big when I put them in the pan, but I let them sit overnight in the refrigerator, and the refrigeration halted the process of the rising of the dough. Well, this is what 2 of them look like, because I forgot to take a picture of them when they came out before I started grabbing them and icing them. Nothing like a good hot cinnamon roll in the morning, right? After I iced it, it just kind of looks like this. So this is store-bought icing, actually. I just bought a thing of Pillsbury vanilla icing, and I use that because sometimes I make my icing, sometimes I don't want to. So this time it's store-bought icing. I'm sure it's delicious. We've tried it before. But you see, they don't last long. So anyway, this is the finished product. Hope you enjoy.